What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you by Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. It's Friday, always a wild day in the association, but we're going to take our best stab at trying to handicap the wacky league that is the NBA. Tyler's back with us today, the prop king. Tyler, how we doing?
We're good. We got 11 games to cap. We could find some winners here.
All right, AP, how you feeling about tonight's card?
Feeling good. I mean, it's a beast on the DFS side, but we're going to crush, guys. I feel very confident about this slate from a betting aspect and DFS.
Yeah, I almost feel too confident, so that's why I'm excited to talk to you guys and kind of pare down my looks before we go ahead and place these official wagers. Before we get in the games, I'd like to remind everybody, please like this video. Please subscribe to the Run Pure Bets channel. And if you're not subscribed to Run Pure Sports, subscribe to that too, and you can catch them in the afternoon. So thank you very much for that. Let's jump into the games. The first one we've got is the Knicks against the Wizards. The Wizards will be without Bradley Beal. Knicks just added Derrick Rose. Pretty excited here. I was thinking about jumping in on the Knicks, but it almost seems too easy. Tyler, what do you think?
I agree with you there. Like, the Knicks side seems too easy. I actually like the under in this spot. I mean, you got Washington coming in with a pace that plays fifth in the whole NBA, but the Knicks pace is 28th. Mm-hmm. Both of these teams' effective field goal percentages are 22nd and 30th. So neither team's really putting the ball in the hoop well. So with no Beal for Washington, that's taking about 35 points off of their score. So I think the under is a good look in this game.
Yeah, I mean, we can't argue there. Of their 26 games so far this season, the New York Knicks have gone under 18 times. AP, what do you think? Should I jump on the Knicks here, or is this a little too easy? Am I getting tricked?
It feels kind of like a trap spot. What we've seen with this Wizards team is when Westbrook, I mean, mainly it's been when Westbrook sits, they're actually pretty competitive. So I'm wondering if it's just kind of an awkward backcourt, like they're struggling to win when both Westbrook and Beal are on the court. Maybe it's just a bad pairing, who knows what. I don't like the Knicks aren't one to run away with a game. The Wizards have, Westbrook, who can facilitate. He can occasionally get hot. And you got Bertans, who just, let's see. He's firing. He's not shooting good, but my fear there would be, if he gets going and starts stroking those long three balls, it could potentially help him stay in it. So, I think it's it's just tough all around, and I'm probably fading it. I don't hate the idea on the under. I don't know. One of my rules is not betting this Wizards team's under because, if the pace gets going and there's no defense, it could easily go over.
Yeah, really be a battle of each team to try and impose their wills. Obviously, the Knicks want to play that slow down, grit and grind style, while the Wizards like to get up and down the court. From a DFS perspective, obviously with Beal out, that means opportunity for some of these lower-owned guys. I see Rui at 5,700, Ish Smith at 5,200. Russ is up to 9,000 with Beal out. Over on the Knicks side, Randall's at 9,100. And Derrick Rose, their new acquisitions at 5,300. Are you going to be using a lot of these players in the game tonight, or is this a Passover game for you?
Yeah, I think clearly the best play is Russell Westbrook, 9K. The team's going to be his. It's going to be his to run and facilitate. Much better matchup against the Raptors last game. That backcourt, Lowry and Van Vliet just is a tough one to attack. He was 9 for 20 from the field. I feel like he's going to get that mid-range jumper going, or he's going to be able to distribute. And, he just needs Bertans, Hashimura, those guys to knock down shots. But I'll definitely, I don't know. I mean, fading him at 9K, very affordable, good matchup. The only thing, we talk about, the news is crazy. So it's we could have a lot of news break late in this slate that could open up a lot of different plays, and it's, do you want to lock in, one of these studs in these early games? That's kind of what you have to weigh right now.
All right, Tyler, kind of the same deal, but let's just look at the props here. What are you thinking for props in this game? Does anything jumping out at you, especially with Beal out, maybe some opportunities with the supporting players?
Nothing on the Washington side because, I mean, you really don't know which one of them guys is going to get most of them shots. You would want to lean Hachimura, but would it surprise you if a guy like Denny, the rookie, went out there and took 10 shots? Not really.
Exactly.
But the one that jumps out for me is RJ Barrett over 15.5. I mean, Washington's giving up 24 points per game to opposing small forwards. Just like AP said, if this game gets up and down and you do place that under, you kind of hedge it with RJ Barrett's points prop. Because if the game starts flying over, he's definitely scoring 16 points.
All right, that's a great way to look at it. So Tyler likes the under, but he's going to go ahead and do a small hedge with RJ Barrett over 15.5. And let's be honest, there's a chance that both those come home. So the next game is a team that burned me on Wednesday night, but I think I'm going to go back to the well with them, and that's the Charlotte Hornets. They gave up a franchise record to the Memphis Grizzlies for 3 points made, so I think they'll definitely come out with more focus on defending that three-point line and running their opponent off it. Now tonight they're playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have been a star-crossed franchise. They finally get Karl Anthony Towns back. He grabbed, I think, 18 and 10 in the last game. Not a ton of minutes, so this will be a second game back. Expect him to feel a lot better, but now D'Angelo Russell's out, so they just haven't been able to get their stars together. So I don't know. I like Charlotte here. AP, what do you think? Am I crazy for going back to the well with this team?
I mean, man, the Wolves are a different team with Karl Anthony Towns in there. They do look a little better through three quarters. They were really, staying competitive with the Clippers last game. And I don't think D'Angelo Russell played in that game. I can't recall. My lean here is the overs. I don't feel like that good about it. The side, no way I'm taking the Wolves. Towns is decent, but, is he going to get the minutes? I think he played 31 last game. And then you got Malik Beasley. I mean, the rotation here on the Wolves side is it's really tough. And it's one thing I look at all the time in DFS. You can't play these guys because they play, Ryan Saunders is playing 10 to 11 guys in the rotation. Very few are getting over 30 minutes, and minutes are king in DFS. Most are getting between 22 to 28. I feel like it's hard for a lot of these guys to get into rhythm with that type of rotation. So very difficult team to trust. I don't hate the Hornets side. I mean, that last game was kind of awkward, kind of weird. Who were they playing again? Because I was with you guys. The Mavs?
They play on Wednesday?
Memphis
Grizzlies,
Memphis.
yeah.
And
they ran into they ran into a Memphis team that was just, lights out and hot, and they had it out for them. So I don't hate the spot. I don't think I'll be on it, but I don't hate it at all.
All right, Tyler, what do you think? Charlotte minus 3.5. Am I crazy for going back to the well with the team that burned me on Wednesday night?
I don't think you're crazy at all. I mean, the team burned me too. I had LaMelo Ball's points prop. We needed 1 point in the fourth quarter, and the guy sits the whole fourth. But
Which was odd with Devontae Graham out. I don't know what happened there.
I think they were down 15 going into the fourth, so they basically called it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Charlotte's the side here. I agree with AP on the over. I think LaMelo pushes the pace for Charlotte, and Minnesota's not going to play much defense. Beasley's going to be chucking shots. So, I mean, that 228 seems a little short. If Karl Anthony Towns was getting 35 to 40 minutes, I'd love his over 22.5 points. But with the minutes questions, I can't play that prop.
Yeah, I'd be worried too. Just he didn't seem like he was 100%. He seemed pretty proud of himself, and he had limited minutes on Wednesday. Makes sense that they would ease him back into the lineup. And like AP mentioned, Saunders is already pretty conservative with giving his guys a lot of minutes to begin with, almost like Budenholzer. I don't know what they're doing up north, not wanting to go over 34 minutes per person. Haven't really been impressed with Saunders so far. I think he's definitely got a longer leash because of the legacy aspect and just what he means to the organization in general. But I think if you're just judging his performance, it hasn't been that impressive. So as we take a look at the DFS side, I don't know. Anthony Edwards, do you think that he'll have, a greater role here and might be worth like that low price range, or are you afraid of Mr. A1 from day one, AP?
Yeah, I think this is a game where when you factor in price, I don't see any of these guys killing us. Like Towns isn't getting the minutes, 9,300, good matchup, but look, I don't know. I don't think he's going to put up one of those ceiling games where it breaks the slate, which is what you have to do on a big slate like this. So my take on this game, I do like LaMelo Ball, but still, he's 8,600 on DraftKings. He needs a 55 plus point game to maybe 60 point game to to break us. So, like, for me, I'm not forcing anyone in. I think I'm going to prioritize some of the news that could hit later in the slate over, like, trying to jam any of these guys in. I do think, like, if you're multi-entering, get exposure to LaMelo Ball, maybe Cody Zeller. My only fear there is Towns usually pulls out centers out from under the paint. So maybe it's a PJ Washington is a guy who picks up a ton of boards and gets going. He's kind of struggled of late. But none of these guys are guys that we have to force into our lineups, in my opinion.
All right, sounds like a plan. Now, this next game, I kind of felt strong about the first two. This third one, I don't really have a side yet, so I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are on it. It's San Antonio heading down to Atlanta. San Antonio beginning their rodeo road trip, which, usually would be later in the season. Probably a big boost for them to get it a little early, but of course the rodeo comes to town, kicks them out of their arena, and they take these long road trips. And they've traditionally done really well on this road trip, over the last 10 years. Of course, this is a different team. They don't have the superstar power that they used to, but still definitely something to keep an eye on. Now they're heading to Atlanta, a team kind of in turmoil, finding its way. I really think that the loss of DeAndre Hunter has hurt a lot more than I originally thought watching him out there. I know that they do get, good minutes from Cam Reddish, but sometimes he can be frustrating on the defensive end. Well, I felt that Hunter was really bringing it on the defensive end. It's -2, so it's almost just like pick the winner. I doubt it lands on 1 or 2. I think if you pick the winner, you'll pretty much have the right side. So that being said, Tyler, pick the winner. Who wins this game, Hawks or Spurs?
Give me the Spurs here.
Okay.
Hawks on that second leg of a back-to-back off that tough loss to Dallas. What was that, last night? Or Trae Young.
That was Wednesday night. So they didn't get a night of rest.
They do have a day rest. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Trae Young got knocked over at the end of that game. He was frustrated with the refs. Yeah. This seems like that spot where they're not even worried about this game. They're still salty about the last one. And I think the Spurs just come in. He's got them young guys ready to play. I think they just get this job done, and they win this game by about 5 points.
Do you have any props for this game?
I don't.
Okay.
There was none listed for me.
Okay, cool. AP, what do you think? San Antonio or Atlanta here?
Yeah, it's another one. I got to agree with Tyler. Like, the Spurs, their backcourt is finally healthy. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Like, do you guys think, I guess how I see it, Lonnie Walker maybe getting the start with Derek White coming off the bench. I kind of like that. You got two guys in DeJounte Murray and Derek White who kind of like to run things with the ball in their hands and, can facilitate the offense. And so you'll have constant pressure on this Hawks team. DeRozan's played really good. And I don't think Aldridge being out really matters. Like, Pirtle is, he's been playing very good. I think he'll get big minutes. Tough matchup in the paint against Capella, but from a DFS standpoint, I think he's a guy that's going to be like very low owned, Pirtle, and I think he has to play big minutes in this matchup. So the only other thing in this game that I'm looking at is like, why is the under? So it opened at 228. Why is it like 224, 225 at some books? I would definitely lean the overs here, but I'm curious to, do you guys have any thoughts on why it might have plunged off of the open?
Yeah, Atlanta's 8-16 to the under this year. So that's my idea is that last year they were such an over team. Everyone thinks they're an over team. Everyone's been betting the overs and getting burned. So now I think people are coming in on the unders. Same thing with San Antonio. Of their 25 games, 14 of them have gone under this year. I projected at 226 here. So,
yeah.
The number moved right through my number. It seems like a pretty good number to me.
Speaking of overs and unders teams, so my one thing I got to tilt about real quick is this Pacers team. I was on their unders like 3 or 4 times this season, just got absolutely destroyed. I was curled up in a ball crying just because they owned me. And then I start playing their overs in good spots, and I just get crushed. That team is like one I just have to stay away from. I don't think I've won a single betting on them from with their totals. It's crazy.
All right. Let's look at the DFS side. Now, you mentioned Aldridge being out. I think they play better with him out. His plus-minus has been terrible this year. He's really slow on the defensive end, and I think the other teams are attacking him. And when he goes out, even though you are losing a little shooting, basketball IQ, and playmaking, I think on the defensive end, they're such a quicker team, that they're able to adapt to this new NBA more. So are you looking to get any of these guys in the lineup here?
Yeah, Pirtle was the guy I was looking at. DeRozan's price is up, so I don't think he's kind of a must play. DeJounte Murray is someone you can always play, and he's great on these bounce back spots. So, he went off for 62 DraftKings points against the Warriors and then followed it up with a terrible performance. I mean, absolute, he busted. And what's going to happen is that's going to lower his ownership. People are, we live in a, what have you done for me lately world. And, his last game sucked. He absolutely sucked. So I could see it being a really good bounce back spot. I don't think he's someone you have to force in at all with how healthy the Spurs are becoming. And then, Trae Young, they finally priced him up. He's $10K. Tournament play, he always has tournament upside, but we don't have to force him in at $10K. So I don't think you have to force anything in this game. We have 11 games to pick from, and so it's you put them on the list, you make note of them, and then you rank them, and that's kind of how I go about my process.
Sounds good. Tyler, any props for this game?
For San Antonio, Atlanta?
Yeah.
No, they don't have any listed yet on FanDuel for me.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder why they're so late to the market today. But regardless, let's move on. The next game, New Orleans headed to Dallas. We talked a little about it before we went on. Tyler, you were a little surprised that Dallas was favored here. Dallas -3 at home against the Pelicans team that was doing really well until they got tired in that back-to-back. Really, the only good quarter they played was the second quarter. They just allowed Chicago to score at will. And I'm sure if you had some Bulls in your DFS slate that night, you were looking great as Zach LaVine just did whatever he wanted. But overall, the Pelicans have been doing pretty good lately after a really poor start. Dallas is another team coming around, right? I mean, they played so many games with not very many people on the roster. Now they're kind of getting to full strength again. We're seeing the team that we saw last year in the bubble and what this team was expected to be. So you were surprised, Tyler, but New Orleans Pelicans are +3. What do you think? Are you going to jump in?
I'm taking the dog here. Give me New Orleans. I mean, we talked about Charlotte losing that game to Memphis and how Memphis was lights out from 3. Mm-hmm. If you took Chicago and Memphis and put them together that night, they missed a combined 10 threes and made about 90 of them. So, I mean, give me New Orleans here. Dallas is still a one-man show with Luka. You look at their defense versus position, they're giving up 30 points to point guards. Lonzo's playing out of his mind right now. He's going to have himself a game. They have no big man that's going to be able to check Zion. He's going to eat in the paint all night. So I think the only thing it comes down to is if Luka has this monster game that keeps him in it.
Yeah, and he's been having some monster games as of late. So what do you think, AP? Are you with Tyler here? Or are you going to go the other way?
So, my main comments here on the DFS side, the Pelicans are a team where they could score as a team 140 points, and we could see none of them hit value DFS-wise because they're all healthy. The usage all gets spread out. They're all doing something. Zion's always hitting 39 to 41 points, DraftKings points a night. Same with Ingram, and they're always priced way up. So they're an easy fade. I'm looking at this total, 232. Now, if we go back a month in the season, I'm pounding the under here. There's no way I can touch it now because the Pelicans are not playing defense. And it's just man, if I had just had my blinders on and, if I was just auto betting stuff, I would auto bet 2 or 3 units on the under here. But you just can't do it because they're not playing defense. They're playing at a little bit faster of a pace. And I think we could see some points here. Luka's a guy, when I did my first overview, I'm we don't need to play him here. He's been kind of up and down. 10-9. He's easy to overlook on this big slate. But thinking about these big slates, these studs are usually lower owned because there's always other guys on it. If he has one of his 70-plus point, DraftKings point nights, he could absolutely do it for us. So for me, it's Luka and move on. DFS-wise, betting-wise, man, I mean, I think betting-wise for me, I'm staying off. But this, I agree with you guys. The Pelicans should be able to keep it close. It just makes me like Luka even more. If they keep it close, Doncic is going to have a monster night. One of those triple doubles with 35 points, something like that. I mean,
yep.
And if he does that DFS wise, it's you're going to want a piece for sure.
Yeah, he definitely could be poised to have a big night. Who do you think that we'll see on him a majority of the night? Do you think Lonzo draws the assignment, or I mean, I wouldn't want to put Ingram on him, would you?
I think it'll be
Yeah.
the back and forth of Lonzo and Bledsoe.
Yeah, I
Just
think they can do okay against him, but he's one of those guys that even against the best defenders, he
I was
draws.
say, yeah, you could put Ben Simmons on the guy; he's still going to score points.
Yeah. What do you think, AP? Who do you think that he'll see some matchups against?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I don't think they've been too good defensively. I could see them giving like Porzingis, some trouble just down to the paint with Adams and Zion, which makes me like Doncic even more.
Yeah, that could definitely happen too. As Porzingis, not the strongest guy and doesn't like to bang.
He's gonna get bullied down there. It's gonna be rough.
Did you guys see the videos of him setting screens and instead of rolling, he just kind of stood there as the play unfolded? Like they're at the rim trying to get the rebound. He's just standing out by the 3 line, like, nah, I'm 7'3", but I'm not getting down there.
Yeah, he's 7'3", but he plays like he's 6'3". So
yeah. I want to know who's skinnier. We got Big T in the chat. If Akshay Bihata is skinnier or Kristaps Porzingis, you guys know golf.
I'll put that one on the screen when we get the answer. But let's move on to the Clippers heading to this place, the Chicago Bulls. Clippers laying 7 on the road. Clippers are kind of quietly, playing really well this year. And I think because of their meltdown in the bubble against the Nuggets, they're kind of this forgotten team. Everyone but regular season, they're fantastic. They're 18-8 this year, 14-12 against the spread. They lay a big number every night, 16-10 to the over. We think of them as a huge defensive team, but they've definitely not played as good a defense this year as Ty Lue's installing these new offensive sets, which to me look better than the stuff that they were running under Rivers. Chicago 10-14, but they're 14-10 against the spread because they get points a lot, similar to the situation tonight. Also 13-11 to the over. I see a 227.5 right now. I kind of like the over here. And I kind of like Chicago with the points. AP, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the over here too. I think it's just a little bit too low. Let's see, it opened actually it went down a little, or it opened what, at 228. I'm seeing some books, half a point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely not betting an unders in this game. They do have Pat Bev back, which helps out a little bit, but still he's not playing big minutes. And you got Zach LaVine, who's just been lights out. This guy is on another level. You have Kobe White, who finally got it going last game. And then you got Lou Williams on the Clippers side, who's finally getting aggressive in that second unit and getting buckets. This is a great matchup for Lou Will. I'm kind of, disappointed fantasy-wise because the sites were fast to raise his price. He's 5,800 on DraftKings. And he's 6,500 on FanDuel. Like, you can't touch that FanDuel price, but he's definitely in play on DraftKings, but he's just not getting many minutes. He's like maxed out right at like 28, 29. So, yeah, for me, it has to be the overs here. And DFS-wise, Kawhi Leonard is obviously a good play with Paul George out. You don't want to touch Pat Bev or Reggie Jackson or even like Ibaka. It's honestly Kawhi Leonard, Lou Williams, and then moving on to the Bulls side.
All right, Tyler, what do you think? You laying 7 with the Clippers on the road?
No, I'm not. I'm actually going to wait for a live spot in this game because I think the Clippers get up quick. I think if you can get the Bulls.
They started really slow against Minnesota.
I think if you can get the Bulls at plus 12 or better, I think that's the play right there.
Okay.
So all you really need is a 4-point lead from the Clippers, and that number will start to grow on the live board.
Did they give you props for this game yet?
They did, but the only one I eyed up, like AP said, was the Lou Williams one. Mm-hmm. And he's just been so hit or miss all year, I can't play it. Yeah, it's at 15.5. We could easily see him go for 20, but we could also easily see him go for 2 points. So I'm just staying away from that one.
AP, you're more up on the injury news than me. So when you're making your slate, did you have Paul George in or out?
Yeah, I think he's already ruled out. Let me just pull it up real quick. Yeah, he's out 4 more games. Four more games. Yeah.
All right. So does that mean that Leonard is in a play? I always hear Big T talking about you can't play Leonard or George unless one of them sits. Does that mean Leonard it has some interest for you, or too many other?
Yeah. No, he'll be like if you pull up the cash sheet, he'll be right on there as an elite play. In tournaments, you can always get different. There's always scenarios that can pan out. We could see, if the Clippers get off to an early lead, we see them blow them out. or maybe it's like Lou Will. Like the Clippers still have so many different guys that could get going, but the rotation really is wrapped kind of around Kawhi Leonard. I think he's a really safe play tonight. Like safe play to get you 47 to maybe 58 range. Which yeah, it's going to make him a solid play for sure.
All right. That should be a fun one. So we all like the over there, and we think there'll be a lot of points scored. The next game, talk about totals that are dropping. Opened at 219. It's at 211. I mean, people are just hammering the under in this game, and that's Detroit heading to Boston. Boston's open at -8, dropped to -7.5, which didn't surprise me because Detroit covered the first two games of their little back-to-back earlier in this year, and those games were wild as far as I think one game only had like 188 points scored, and then the next game had like 232. So it was definitely, the zigzag as far as the total. And Detroit covered both of those games with a big spread. And we look at Detroit 6-19 overall, but 12-11 against the spread because they're constantly catching, points like tonight, like 7.5, 8. Boston, pretty much close to what their actual record is, 13-11 and 13-11 against the spread. They're also 13-11 to the over. So, let's start with you, AP. What do you think? I was thinking about grabbing the points in this game if I played it, but it was such a big slate, it didn't necessarily jump out to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, it really, hold on, I'm pulling it up. What'd you say the total's at right now?
211.5.
211.5, yeah.
And what did it open at?
219.5.
Oh man, I don't know. I'm kind of undecided on this game.
It's
like that's such a big move. It's kind of throwing me off. Tyler, like props wise, what do you typically do in a spot like that? We don't typically see like that massive of a move.
That usually, my eyes usually mean someone's getting announced out late. So that's probably a stay away from me because you're basically playing Russian roulette trying to figure out who's going to be the guy that gets announced out. Because Boston did just play last night. I could definitely see resting.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
I even show. Did it just go off the board too? I'm not.
Let me refresh my bookmaker. It logs me out after.
I got the injury on my other screen. I'm waiting for something to pop up.
Yeah. I'm showing, so like, okay, here's what the injury situation. Kimba's already out. Marcus Smart is out for more games. Blake Griffin, doubtful for back-to-back. The main news there is Mason Plumlee. He's questionable. You got Frank Jackson questionable. So
how does Plumlee move a line like that, though?
That's what's throwing me off.
And especially to an under, right? Because you think he's a pretty good defender.
Yeah.
Like, him being out should push it up.
The guy, Isaiah Stewart, is a very good defender down low.
He's been playing very well.
Yeah. So, I mean, that might be more the reason, giving them fits. They got a few guys that are just like high motor guys. This, what's that? Sekou? Yeah, I can't pronounce his name at all. He's good. Dennis Smith Jr. was, really didn't do anything last night, but he's always a guy that can get going. So this is a tough spot in my opinion. I don't think I'll touch it from either side.
Jeremy Grant's coming off his worst performance of the season, priced at 7,500 on DraftKings. Are you expecting him to have a bounce back night? Look for him to get back in the lineup because before last night he was pretty consistent to get you between like 16 and 28 points every night, at least from a points per game perspective.
He's had a few back-to-back games where he was decent, and then the other, I think he's had 3 back-to-backs. Let's see, he had one against Milwaukee where he played well in the back-to-back, put up 43 DraftKings points. He had another one that he looked good, and then he had one where he wasn't good. I think it's an interesting spot. No Blake Griffin. He's going to have to play big minutes. He plays up in these spots against against other kind of, like he thinks he's an all-star, and he plays, he's going to be playing up against an all-star and Jason Tatum. So I think he's interesting for sure. He's going to get the minutes. I think DeLon Wright is interesting too. Should have a decent matchup. He busted last night. Then you got Josh Jackson, who should get a lot of run also. That's why, I'm not touching the under because they have guys who can score. Josh Jackson could come off the bench and then finish in the fourth quarter. and that dude chucks, and he can start making buckets real quick. So, man, really tough spot to cap. Interesting spot from a fantasy perspective for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how you could play the under right now and look yourself in the mirror knowing
after
you missed 8
8-point
points
move.
of value just by going to bed early last night. Tyler, did you have any props for this game?
I don't with that line move, but the only thing I'd play in this game would be Detroit plus the 7.5. It seems like that game where Boston's just like, it doesn't matter to us. We'll win it late, or at least try to win it late. And I think 7.5 is way too many here.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about Detroit, but they seem to give good effort every night, and they do quite well against the spread.
The only time they don't give good effort spread is after they win a game.
Yeah, it's almost like they're doing like the perfect tank season where they're losing a bunch of games, but they're keeping them close and respectable and putting some good effort out on the floor. So, yeah, I would lean there too, but with so many games on the slate, I stayed away. And here's another game that we talked about, Tyler.
Oh, we just got the news too.
Mason Plumlee.
Mason Plumlee's out. Yeah, so like DFS-wise, real quick spread. Isaiah Stewart's going to start, 3.1K. He played a ton of minutes last night. I mean, he's just an easy guy to throw in there and lock. And then you got Peyton Pritchard on the other side, 3.8K. Great, easy foundation spots to start your lineup with. Like two really cheap guys you're going to be able to spend up and get whoever you want. And so, I mean, this game is definitely viable DFS-wise.
Yeah, if you want to get like a Luka and a Giannis in your lineup, those are two guys you could take advantage of to get more studs and do. What do you guys call it? Stars and scrubs?
Yeah.
Yeah, stars and scrubs. All right, Tyler, I can't wait to hear what you think about this game because you were dead on the other night when you told me don't take the Bucks in Phoenix. They lost on a last-second shot, but if you played the spread, it wouldn't have mattered because the game closed at -4, -4.5, depending on which book you were at. Now Milwaukee heads to Utah to play the hottest team in the league. Utah 20-5 this year, best record in the NBA, 18-6 against the spread, and they've been on quite the streak. They're playing a Milwaukee team, close to the end of a road trip, but other than that Phoenix game, which of course we talked about, the narrative is way different if Giannis makes that shot. Milwaukee's really coming to their own lately. Tyler, what do you think? You like Utah here? Or are you going to take the Bucks to bounce back?
Give me the Bucks here to bounce back. Before we talk about this game, we got more injury news out of that Detroit game.
Yeah, I know. That got my eye too. I'm like, how is this coming like right now? Usually it's like much closer to lock, and then it's after lock, man. Like the last 2 nights have been insane. Go ahead, Tyler. Sorry, man.
But yeah, that Milwaukee-Utah game, I mean, Utah has been a train, and they've been rolling this season. But I think Milwaukee gets right here. They've been playing really good ball. I think they defend the 3-line a little better tonight against Utah. If Utah's not hitting 55 to 60% from 3, they're not winning this game. Giannis dominates Rudy every game he plays them. So I think this is just one of them games where we see him just control the whole game, 40 points, 15 rebounds, and just that's it. Ball game.
Right. So it sounds like if you're making a DFS lineup, even though he's 10-8, you'd have Giannis in there. What do you think, AP? What do you think about this game?
I mean, yeah, like I kind of agree. And then it just, when you're looking back at the game against the Suns where Giannis like pulled up, oh man, he has to be motivated because I forgot what that quote was. Devin Booker, I think someone asked him,
in good shape.
Yeah, we're in good shape. Giannis pulling up from 20 feet. So I'm gonna have to go back and look at Giannis versus this Jazz team and against Gobert. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting spot. Surprising to see the Bucks as a dog, but again, Utah's been playing really well. I hate to be off on a lot of these games, but I don't trust the side here, and my lean would be the over. I'm not betting an under, and I bet one under on the Bucks this season and got destroyed. It was painful. It was the Bucks against the Pacers. It was like under 242 or 243, and they just absolutely smoked that line. And so I can't bet Bucks unders. So my lean would be the overs. I'm off on the side. DFS wise, I haven't played Giannis a ton all season. Maybe once. I don't know. I mean, I might play around with a true Luka Giannis build route. I don't think that even though there's so much value, I don't think that route's going to be popular because you have guys like Westbrook, guys like Levine, Kawhi Leonard, who are going to be really popular in that upper mid range, and you can't play them all. Salary comes into play and everything, and so it might be an interesting route for sure tonight.
Tyler, did you take a look at Giannis at point, rebounds, assists prop?
I did not, but it's got to be close. And I think they usually set that rate around 50.5, 52.5. Wow. So, I mean, I'd probably lean over. 40 and 15 gets you 55. So,
yeah. All right. Yeah, that might be a way to attack it. Any other looks on this game, which I think is the best game from a fan's perspective tonight? Any other looks on this game before we move on?
Nothing pregame. I think we could find a nice spot live. Even be a nice little ARB game right there.
Sounds good. Well, we'll be in the Discord taking care of all those. Next game, talk about going from the best game from a fan's perspective to one of the worst. The Oklahoma City Thunder, who are just mashed by injuries, heading to Denver. Oklahoma City coming off 2 long games, going to overtime against the Lakers there. And then, they played the Lakers pretty well, right? They covered both games. How much can we expect from this team that's just been pretty good against the spread, 14-10, and now Denver's laying 12. Do you see another situation like a Wednesday night where the Lakers and the Thunder are kept close? Do you think the Thunder can stay close enough to cover this game, AP?
They're scrappy for sure. They had a nice run and played up against the Lakers. I don't see it though. The Nuggets match up almost too well here. No one's going to stop Jokic. MPJ looked good last game. Jamal Murray's projected to be back, I believe. Was he back last game? He's not even on the injury report. So let me look.
No, I don't think he played last game, but he's due back.
He did. Yeah, he's going to be back, though. I mean,
he's bouncing in and out, and he doesn't seem to be 100%. Big T keeps saying that they just got to sit him for like a couple weeks and let him get 100% healthy. So I don't know how much I trust him, but will it matter against this depleted Thunder team?
Yeah, I see them struggling, and this game's tough. I think it's one of the – so we have 2 situations tonight where each team has like 8 or 9 players max. That's the Thunder and that's the Magic that played last night. And both teams, I have some concerns there. Like Diallo's priced way up. He's $7K. Lou Dort kind of just sucks. He's a good defender, but he can't make anything. The guy cannot shoot. Kenrich Williams is decent, but he's priced up. You got Horford, who has been, he's been playing really good, and he's chucking when he's in there. I don't trust it in this matchup. So tough game all around. I'm not going to bet, the Nuggets as a 12-point favorite. And I think the total here is spot on at 222 points. So I'm again off this game.
Yeah, and there's no shame in that. I think these bigger spreads at this point of the season are harder to bet. I think as the season goes on and the true tanks are established, it gets a little bit easier. But right now, all the teams are giving full effort, and they're all playing their best lineups. Tyler, what do you think? Are you going to grab the 12?
I'm grabbing the 12 with this depleted team. I mean, if I told you one of these teams was ranked 3rd in pace and you had to guess which one you taking every time.
The Thunder are 3rd in pace?
Yes. Over their last 5, they're 3rd in pace. But wow. in that same span, they're 25th in effective field goal percentage. Okay. So they're running up and down the floor and not making any shots. So I think that 222 is a little inflated with their pace. So I like the under there.
Okay.
Because I think it could be a blowout. But we've also seen Denver slow things down to where they can blow them out 110 to 80 something.
Yeah, definitely a possibility. AP,
don't they slow it down a little bit with Jamal Murray sometimes too? You'd think he's a guy that wants to shoot it and wants to get the pace going. He's also a guy when they're playing half court, slows it down, you his spots, kind of matches up with his guy and then goes. When it's just Jokic and Jamal Murray's out and everything's being run through Jokic, I do think they play at a faster pace. So I kind of like that call under 222.
From a DFS side, when you're looking at this Oklahoma City team, it's almost like you don't have to worry about the blowout, right? Because the guys are going to get minutes no matter what. Do any of them make it into your lineup?
Yeah, that's where Diallo is kind of interesting. He's 7K though. I mean,
it's too high.
He needs to do so much to kill you, and there's so many options on the slate. Horford is a guy that could get it done, but there's a lot of risk there. If they get blown out, he's not going to play, in the 4th. They're going to put, it's going to be like Baisley, Justin Jackson, Darius Miller, one of those, or Mike Muscala, and Roby's questionable too, but they don't need to play. They don't need to push Horford's minutes. So
yeah, I'd say out of all of them, he's probably the only one that might sit in a blowout. But I think the rest of the guys will be on the floor. So definitely an interesting spot for them because even if they blow out, I think these guys are still going to get a ton of minutes. So I probably lean towards taking the 12, but on a big slate, definitely not going to get into any uncomfortable spots and taking this depleted team. Even getting 12 points is tough. The next game is a team that really is playing a lot better lately in spite of all their injuries, and that's the Portland Trailblazers. They're hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers, who after a hot start have kind of regressed to what we've expected of them. Cleveland, how many of them have they lost in a row now? 1, 2, 3, 5 losses in a row. Their last game was a 38-point loss to the Nuggets. So they're definitely struggling right now. And Portland's kind of starting to find their own. They're still missing Nurkic. They're still missing McCollum. I don't think Collins has even played 1 minute this year. But I think Trent Jr. is stepping in his role a little better. They're finding a nice balance. They got to avoid those Cantor Anthony minutes on the second unit because they just get killed defensively. But, they've been playing pretty well lately. They have won 2 in a row. They beat Orlando, which doesn't really say much. But then they beat Philadelphia, which was a nice win. So, Tyler, what are you looking at this game? Do you think Portland gets it done?
I think they can, but this is on the side in total a complete stay away from me.
Okay.
I mean, both teams are pretty slow in pace, 18th and 23rd. But then you look at what they're holding their opponent's field goal percentage to. They're the bottom 2 teams in the league, 29th and 30th. So this could be one of them games where neither team's really running, but neither team's playing defense, so points could be flying. And with Portland on a back-to-back off that big win last night, I think I'm just staying away from this one. The only thing I'd play here would be maybe a Sexton's points prop because I think Portland's defense will just let them score. And Drummond's rebounds because Cantor's going to be the only guy trying to keep him off the boards.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're definitely hurt by the loss of Larry Nance Jr. We don't really think of him that much, but I think that he was probably Drummond gets the blocks, but the most versatile defender on the team. The defense has definitely slipped since he's been out. So that being said, AP, what are you looking for this game?
Yeah, I think, it's it opened at 7 and now it's -3.5.
Did you see it open at 7? The most I saw was 4.5.
Oh, well, I'm looking at the Action Network. Okay. So the opening line, 4.5 sounds a lot more reasonable. I'm like, man, if you could have gotten 7, that makes sense. I do think they could struggle against Drummond and Jared Allen and all the bigs that the Cleveland has in the paint. They could make it definitely, they could make it tough on them. I think where the risk is if Dame Lillard and Trent and these guys get hot from the perimeter. If that happens, I think it's going to be really tough for Cleveland to keep pace. Tough game all around. I think the total is right. I think the spread is right. And then DFS-wise, man, Drummond can always smash, but it's tougher with him playing with Jared Allen in there. It's just kind of a spot that I see myself avoiding. I don't really want to mess with it. It's kind of, an awkward front court for sure with those two still work. I wish they would just make a decision. Honestly, what Cleveland needs to do right now is and you trade Drummond, package him, try to get, don't be greedy with him. Just take Drummond and Prince or something. Package 2 older guys, bring in some more young guys. Then you got Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, and you got Jared Allen. That's a good group to start building around. Ship Kevin Love out too. They don't need him. Dude is so old.
A contract to be shipping around.
Yeah, I know.
Just put some pieces together with that one.
Take your losses, accept less for that, and I think that would be a way for them to turn things around. But I don't know. I'm not good at. I would never be good at being a manager and reconstructing a team. I would always do it from a fantasy perspective. I would just try to get the most efficient fantasy scoring team that I could just to make the people happy.
You might be popular then. Yeah, Drummond's tough at $28 million, and then remember he only fetched a second rounder when Detroit traded him last year. So even though he's played well, I can't imagine his value went up that much because other than Boston, I don't know which contender would A, need him, and 2, be able to absorb the salary.
Brooklyn.
They can't absorb that salary.
They couldn't?
I don't think so.
If they gave up DeAndre Jordan in the trade.
He doesn't make that much, does he?
Makes like 16, I think.
Oh, wow. Maybe they could.
They paid him a lot of money when them three came in.
Well, we'll have Tyler get a hold of those two general managers and work that out after the show. But props-wise, Tyler, what do you see?
In this game, Cleveland-Portland?
Yeah. Actually, I already went you on that, didn't I?
Yeah,
we
just
didn't do props. We just hit the side.
No, just the Sexton points proper, the Drummond rebounds would be my look in that game.
All right. This next game is a game where I want to take the points. It's Memphis coming off that great shooting night against Charlotte, playing the Lakers. We know how the Lakers do. They like to win. Covering, not so much. 20-6 on the year, but 12-14 against the spread. Now they're laying 7 to this Memphis team that is back to its grit and grind ways. They've got Ja Morant back. He's settling into the lineup. Still haven't seen Jaren Jackson Jr. Also missing Clark. Melton's out again, and maybe Desmond Bane. So maybe that's why this number is so high. AP, what do you think? Would I be crazy if I took the 7 points here?
I don't, but like what I see happening here is just getting tilted with them losing by like 9. I see it being close, and then the fourth quarter comes, and LeBron gets going, AD gets going, and you lose by 9. And it's like fuck, it's man. I hate losing like that, but no, I mean it makes sense. Another one of those where it's like the perfect number that they came out with. I think the total is a perfect number too at 219. You could see this game going defensive. I think like you got to think Ja Morant's going to help to keep this thing close. And Valanciunas has been playing good, but man, it's a tough matchup there in the paint. Assuming Anthony Davis plays, which it's always such a tough spot with them. Has he played? Let's see.
He hasn't played the last couple of games with the
last couple of
injury.
Games. Yeah. So my problem is like if he plays, it's way tougher. I think it's one of those where if you like the number either way, you wait until the game starts and then you bet it live.
All right. That might be the strategy. Tyler, do you have any props for this game?
I don't have any props, but I'm on that same side as you. Give me the +7. LA off 2 overtime games. I doubt Anthony Davis is playing. So, I mean, this is LeBron versus the Grizzlies team. I think 7's a little too much here. I think you get a night off from LeBron after 2 overtimes. So maybe a win by 5, hopefully, and not 9.
Yeah, he was definitely coasting at certain points during those OKC games. Probably the reason they went to overtime, was him not really having his foot on the gas, especially on the defensive end. Kind of reminded me of his first year there. Well, last year, we got fabulous defense from him. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. And it's a tough one to take, right? I mean, you're taking Memphis against the NBA champions, best team in the league. It seems tough, but I think that sometimes these tough bets are the best ones to make. And speaking of that, this next one's even tougher, but I think I'm going to join in as well. And that's taking the points with this terrible Orlando team coming off a back-to-back, only have 2 guards, but I just don't trust the Kings to lay 8.5. AP,
Kings are your team, right?
Yeah, they are. They're my favorite team.
And they're playing good. They're playing so good right now.
He still won't back them.
So here's like my one concern is Vucevic just played so bad the last time he was in the spot where, I mean, he was gassed, like absolutely gassed. What game was that? And that was like not too long ago. So their last back-to-back was against Chicago. He erupted for 78 fantasy points, had that monster 43-point game, 19 rebounds, followed it up he looked terrible. And last night he had to play 38 minutes again. And, he pulled his team back. They made it competitive. And then Curry just went nuts and they lost. So it's like, it's a tough spot. I could see them hanging around. I think we need some guys back though, for me to feel better about it. Right now, Frank Mason just got ruled out. Evan Fournier, he is questionable. Cole Anthony's questionable. Carter Williams, Aminu, they're all questionable. It's such a tough spot. Oh, he is in?
The only one that was announced in out of that group yet.
He still kind of sucks though.
Yeah, I don't like him.
I lean it's a Kings game. We're going to get a fast pace, you would think, even though Magic are on a back-to-back. I lean an over, but man, it's a tough spot all around.
Tyler, what do you think? If I grab 8.5, am I crazy? Am I discounting my hometown heroes a little too much here?
I don't. I see your thinking on the +8, but here's my idea with this game. We wait till halftime and then just take the Kings second half when Orlando's legs die.
I like that. That's a good bet.
That's a good one, too.
We've seen this happen a lot this year. These teams on the back. We look at Dallas not even a week ago when they played Golden State on a back-to-back. They played them neck to neck till halftime. The second half started, and it was a complete different game. Their legs gave out on them. They had no more energy, and Golden State won the game by about 30.
Yeah, and when you're shorthanded like this, right, fatigue's obviously going to be an issue. DFS-wise, AP, any of these guys making it into your lineup?
I mean, De'Aaron Fox could be an absolute hammer. You got Buddy Hield, could be a hammer. 6'7" on DraftKings. I think they're phenomenal plays. Look what Curry just did last night. This team is like we said. I mean, as long as they're within striking distance, Luke Walton should give his guys big run. And we've seen Fox Hield get big minutes. Halliburton off the bench has been very good. And, so I definitely think and I don't think a lot of people are going to play Fox because you have Russell Westbrook, who's also 9K, and you have a ton of other guys who are good plays. So you're going to get a low-owned De'Aaron Fox on a team that's healthy right now. That also factors into ownership because people are going to be targeting these teams where players are benefiting from injury usage. And so I think Fox and Hield are interesting plays. Barnes is a guy I never play. He's cheap, though.
I was going to bring him up. He's been quietly efficient this year.
Yeah, but so here's my problem is he's always like mid 6K, like 6'5" to 6'9". His ceiling is like 42, 43 points, and his floor is like 15. And we see the bottom half of that range far more often than the upper half. So he's a guy I just rarely play. Like if he beats me, he beats me. It is what it is. I'm just usually not going to play him unless that price got down further. I'd much rather have – honestly, I'd much rather like have a Buddy Hield who has far more upside. I mean, we saw Buddy Hield we haven't seen it too often this year, but he's gone for 50 and then 40. So, yeah, I mean – Barnes probably a little bit more consistent than Hield. Hield more upside, but Fox is probably the guy you want.
Yeah, Hield's got great upside here. I mean, the guy attempts and he's been efficient from 3 points. If we had a full 82-game season, he'd be on pace to go over 300 three-pointers made this year, and he'd only be the third player in league history to do that. So, I mean, he's definitely a threat from outside, right? And it's daily fantasy. You don't need to worry about how terrible his defense is. So that's always an upside. Tyler, do you have any props for this game?
Just Fox's points over. That's it.
I mean,
I'd love to take Vucevic because he's playing the worst defense in the paint in the league, but back to back, he's tired. I can't.
I mean, if you take Vucevic and then you see them put Bagley at center like they did against Embiid, you
would love it.
Birdman hand rubbed together, right? Because Bagley just can't defend. But it'll be interesting though, because against Holmes, I think that he's not going to stop him, but he can definitely make him work, slow him down, and then, like you mentioned earlier, tire him out so you don't get that efficient fourth quarter. So, wow, all right, we did it, even under an hour to get through all these games. So, before we get out of here, I definitely want to hit a best bet from each of you guys. We'll drop them in the Discord for the guys. Start with you, Tyler. One play, side total or prop. Give out one for the people here right now.
You're going to pin me down to just one?
You can give out more. It's fine. No one's going to complain. People love picks.
We'll go with two.
Okay, two of them. Love it. Let's hear it.
Give me the Pelicans money line.
Okay.
And give me the under in the OKC Denver game.
All right. Pelicans money line under an OKC Denver. AP, what are you going for?
Yeah, I'm gonna. Man, it's I usually love these slates with so many games from a betting angle because usually we can find some lines that are just off. Many of these seem sharp, but I think I gotta go Bucks Jazz overs. I just gotta trust it. I think we see some good. I think we see a good pace. I think we see Middleton and Giannis get into a groove, and I think we see some good shooting on the Jazz side. I think Mitchell and company, and then Clarkson off the bench, I think will be a big factor.
All right, sounds like a fun bet to make too, because you know, we know that betting these overs in the NBA is definitely a lot more fun. Even when you're on pace for those unders, you know, they'll have a 12-point minute and just you'll watch the live total just creep up and up and up. So I like your look there. I'm going back to the well with my guys, the Hornets. Okay, I'm going to lay 3.5 against one of the worst teams in the league. I know that they had a disappointing loss against Memphis, but I think they're ready to bounce back. I think they'll be dialed in on defending that 3-point line, and I just don't know how much run Towns is going to get. I expect to see an effective, efficient Hornets team tonight. So do you guys have anything else before we get out of here?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right. Great job today, guys. This is a lot of fun. You know, I feel a lot better about the card after talking to you guys. There seem to be so many spots, but now I definitely feel more dialed in on what we should attack. One more time before we get out of here, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Head over to runpuresports.com. Head over to runpurebets.com. See what we have to offer. Only $100 a month for both. Please come join the team, see what we got, join the Discord, talk to AP, talk to Tyler, ask me some questions. Can't wait to see you guys there. Thank you for joining us, and